In our first story, the Electoral Commission of Ghana has taken back the results of the presidential polls that were declared on December 9, 2020, after admitting it contained some errors. A statement cited by JoyNews this morning reveals some corrections were made. Now, in a statement, the Electoral Commission clearly acknowledged that the chairperson, Jean Mensa, mistakenly used 13,433,573 as the total valid votes cast, which was not the case. According to the Commission, the total valid votes cast is 13,119,000, and it does not change the percentages stated for each candidate and the declaration made by the chairperson. That is the statement that you have on your screen. It says here, it gives a summary of the 2020 presidential results on your screen, and then it says the chairperson of the Electoral Commission inadvertently used 13,433,573 as a total valid votes cast. So you want to keep your eye on that figure. And it says the total valid vote cast is 13,119,460. It says this does not change the percentages stated for each candidate and the declaration made by the chairperson, and that statement comes from the Electoral Commission. Now, KOTOKO, however, is certain that the Electoral Commission's presidential results presented by Jean Mensa are accurate, presenting the parallel voter tabulation PVT data compiled from over 1,000 observers during the election. Acting Chair Sheikh Armiel Shaibu indicates it tallies with that of the EC. This comes after the main opposition NDC rejected figures presented by the Electoral Commission. However, KOTOKO says it is confident about the figures after verifying them.
The EC official results gave the president-elect 51.302%. And our PVT estimate also put it at 50.98%. And so therefore there is some certain closeness in the figure. If you take that of the former president, John Dramani Mahama, that is NDC, the official EC results stood at 47.359%, and that of our estimate stood at 47.66%. And the rest can be found on the table as we shall make available to you. Aside the fact that the PVT estimates of candidates' vote share received generally match the EC's official results, the PVT estimated rejected ballots of 2.25% with a margin of error of plus minus 11% is also consistent with the EC's figure of 2.33%. The official voter turnout rate of 79% announced by the EC is slightly outside the PVT voter turnout confidence range based on the estimated turnout rate of 79.69% and the margin of error of plus minus 46%. The table will also be provided for you to see. It is worth noting, however, that this could be due to exclusion of the outstanding results from Techiman South constituency with a total number of 128,018 registered voters. To conclude, given that the official results announced by the Electoral Commission for each candidate falls within their respective PVT estimate confidence range, KOTOKO can confidently confirm that its PVT estimates are consistent with the official presidential election results. Not only do KOTOKO's PVT estimate match the official results of the EC, but our observers also reported that the two main parties, NDC and MPP, had party agents at over 99% of polling stations, and that both NDC and MPP party agents also signed the official declaration of polls and were given copies of those documents. Further, evidence from KOTOKO's PVT observers show that on December 7, 2020, voting and counting were conducted as per relevant electoral laws with no significant incidents related to the voting process.
You're live on JoyNews today, and more than 100 new names have emerged after what can largely be described as one of the most keenly contested parliamentary polls on Monday. Scores of incumbent MPs were asked from both majority and minority sides. The NDC lost some 18 seats in the polls, but the NPP suffered more casualties as it lost at least 33 votes. Now, Manuel Kranting has more.
In the keenly contested race, which almost turned Ghana's legislative house into a hung parliament, some 21 NPP MPs who were either ministers or deputy ministers could not retain their seats. The exit notice was also served on some NDC MPs at the end of the December 7 polls. In Ewutu Senya West, Gisela Tete avenged her sister Hannah Tete by unseating incumbent MP and Deputy Minister for Communications George Anda, whose colleague Deputy Communications Minister Alexander Aban also lost in Gumwa West. Joseph Dindiok Pemka, a Deputy Attorney General, lost the Timpane seat in the Upper West region. In the Greater Accra region alone, the NPP's Bernard Okoboy of Lojokuku, Yao Boabing Asamoah of Adenta, Abubakar Boniface of Medina, Ebenezer Nate of Ablikuma Central, Elizabeth Afolekwe of Krowo, and a dozen others all lost their seats to the NDC. Meanwhile, casualties in the NDC camp included Damangos Adam Mutawakilu, Abdul Rauf Tanku of Yagaba Kubore, Umuni Al-Hassan of Salaga North, Al-Hassan Umar of Zabzugu, and a host of others. Prominent new faces entering Parliament are Energy Minister John Peter Amewu, who snatched the Hohoi seat in the Volta region to become the lone NPP MP in that region. Meanwhile, Ophelia Hayford successfully defended the seat formerly occupied by her late husband, Echo Kwanzaa Hayford.
Now, the Regional Secretariat of the National Democratic Congress says they will challenge the results of the parliamentary elections at Lambusi constituency. The party said the coalition of the results was fraught with several electoral irregularities. Regional Secretary Charles Posing has been speaking to journalists in Wa. Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
The Upper West Region's NDC went to the 2020 polls with a mantra codenamed Agenda 1111. The party won 6 out of the 11 parliamentary seats in the 2016 general election. Upper West Regional Secretary of the NDC, Lawyer Charles Posing, disclosed that at the close of polls on Tuesday, the party won 8 out of the 11 parliamentary seats in the region.
At the close of the collation of results, the NDC won 8 parliamentary seats, namely Wa Central, which was won by Dr. Rashid Hassan Pelko, Wa East by Dr. Godfrey Seydou Jassau, Wa West by Superintendent Retired Peter Lanchene Tuobu, Nadoli Kaleo by Mr. Anthony Minkara Suma, Drapa by Honorable Cletus Seydou Dapla, Laura by Honorable A. Ziaden, and Sisala West by Mr. Muhammad Adam Sopare. Dafiema Buse Isa by Honorable Dr. Sebastian Sandari. And the MPP won 3 seats, namely Nandong, Sisala East, and Lambuse.
He said the party has found some electoral irregularities at Lambuse constituency, and in due time, they will soon be heading to the court.
Currently, we want to inform the media that the NDC is challenging the parliamentary results of the Lambuse constituency because the coalition was fraught with several irregularities. So we'll brief you at the appropriate time when it is determined.
Lawyer Charles Poison also touched on the results of the presidential election in the region. He urged supporters not to be dampened by the results, but rather go out and jubilate over the free truck in the presidential election in the region.
So the total for the MPP in the Upper West region is 121,230, representing 32.7% of the total valid votes of 369,647. The NDC had a whooping 238,972, representing 64.65% of the total valid votes cast. These presidential results have been signed by all political parties at the Coalition Center. And this also confirms that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama won the Upper West region with a whooping percentage of 64.65% of the total valid votes cast.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
You're live on Joy News today. Now, last night, a scuffle broke out between some supporters of the NDC and the MPP at Wali Wali in the Northeast region following the declaration of the presidential election in favor of the NPP by the Electoral Commission. Joy News learned the incident, which led to some injuries occurred when some supporters of the MPP decided to take their celebration to the private residence of the defeated NDC parliamentary candidate. The MPP supporters staged a jamboree at the backyard of the NDC candidate, Abubakar Abdallah, singing NPP songs, honking and dancing, while blocking NDC supporters were making their way to the house of the NDC candidate to sympathize with him for his defeat. Now, Abubakar Abdallah lost the election in the Wali Wali constituency by over 2,000 votes. He accused the NPP supporters of provocative behavior.
I cannot be very sure because the crowd is so loud, and because the crowd is so loud, it's not possible sometimes to control everybody in such a crowd. What has to be done for me is that they have to really, because those guys who started it, they are very close to my house, and we are neighbors. If they continue this activity tomorrow, the situation cannot be controlled. Because even after the incident, when the boy then decided to carry one of his apprentices on the motorbike, on his way, they pounced on him again and started. And they have been very aggressive. Anyone who passes by their gate, either they assault you verbally or they threaten you with physical fight. And if they have to continue that way, then I can no longer control it, because they cannot be beating and attacking people because of me. Then I will sit aloof. And if the police will behave the way this gentleman behaved, then we can no longer control the situation. It will escalate. And I think that it is so unfortunate that people can engage in such excessive celebrations to the extent that, because you have freedom ends where my nose begins. You cannot celebrate on my territory. If you get to my place, you are not teasing me. When you tease me, I have all reasons to get emotional about it. And once human beings get emotional, then they can no longer control what they do. So that particular family must be cautious to know that political power isn't everything. We are very close. We are a family. We are neighbors. And then the boy who is behaving that way is my cousin. The mother is my auntie. He's my playmate. We are very jovial towards each other. And what he has done. So tomorrow I know this issue will continue and we need to resolve the issue. I have a lot of issues, but those ones are issues that are known by everybody. Most of the results, most of the votes were for sale. And everybody saw the extent to when the vice president came around. And in almost every village, monies were being distributed to granny meals, to grand meal for free for women for some number of weeks. On the day of the election, as people were in the queue, even the candidate herself was in one of the polling stations distributing money people in the queue to go and vote in their favor. So as far as the election results are concerned, for me, the results were in the market for sale, and I didn't have money to buy. So money won. So this.
You're live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. The story's gone by so far. The Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, KOTOKO, has endorsed the results put out by the Electoral Commission, saying that presidential election result was accurate. We also just took you to the Northeast region, where we understand there was a clash between members of the NDC and the MPP. Ilyasu Tanko has joined us with some updates. Ilyasu, So what do we know so far? Right, Eliasu, can you hear me? Eliasu, can you hear me? We will get in touch with Eliasu Tanko. Now, we know that the northeast region saw a number of changes, and Wale Wale is actually the only constituency in the northeast region which retained its political party. But even with Wale Wale, the candidates changed for the NPP, and so every single member of parliament going from Wale Wale from the northeast region is different from those who went in 2016. We'll take you there when we have more detail on the clash, on the reported clash between supporters of the NDC and the NPP last night. Eliasu Tanko has those details for us. Eliasu, tell us first of all, what's the reaction from the police has been? Hi, Eliasu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Daniel.
Great. Has the police made an arrest?
Not yet. The police have not made arrest, but the police are still standing guard at the residence of the defeated NDC parliamentary candidate, and they are there to ensure that the situation.
Apologies for the poor connection there. We will bring you those details when we are able to get a hold of Eliasu.
Moving on to the next one, research arm of ratings agency Fitch says investor sentiment was soft following the narrow victory by the incumbent MPP. The Electoral Commission Wednesday declared Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo winner of the December 7 presidential race. Now, Fitch points out energy and transport will be key sectors for private investment opportunities. I've been speaking with Joy Business editor Charles Nixon Yabua about this.
Clearly, Fitch, prior to the elections, projected that the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, was going to win the elections. And largely, it was based on the performance of the Ghanaian economy, despite the fact that there were troubles with the fiscal economy, i.e., a rising debt as well as a budget deficit. But Fitch clearly pointed out that the considerable public-private partnership of the government, not only this particular government, but from the Mills Mahama to Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, as well as project pipeline, underscores private infrastructure investment opportunities in this country. And if you look at the figures starting from President Kufuor's era through President Mills Mahama and to Akufo-Addo, the nation has spent close to $8 billion on infrastructure projects on the energy, in the energy sector, let me be specific, as well as the transport sector. As we speak, there are projects ongoing in the railway as well as the port sector, and this will considerably open the nation's economy to the larger investing public.
All right, government has kick-started talks with its South African counterparts to develop a workable policy for all state enterprises. Now, the policy, when it becomes successful, will regulate the creation of additional subsidiary firms for state firms, aiming to generate more for government agencies. Chief Executive of the State Interest and Governance Authority, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, told Joy Business that discussions are on course to ensure that the policy document is ready by next year.
SOE is great, and indeed I had a chat with the Minister Godan. We had a very healthy discussion. I need to follow up, and they also trying to get ahead of the game, because you have these SOEs, you as a supervisor or an oversight body trying to manage them. They create other companies, so sometimes even managing them is difficult, and they have their babies to manage or their subsidiaries to manage, and because you don't also have, you don't have to control. That's not your job. Your job is to make sure you have an oversight and their finances are in order, their operations are in order, their HR matters, IT, technology, everything. But they have the responsibility to manage in a way that they find fit and make profit and pay you dividend. So they tend to create subsidiaries, and sometimes they impact negatively on the corporate or the group finances. And so it's becoming a very key subject around the globe, the world, that SOEs creating subsidiaries must have a policy framework that they work through. So you just don't wake up and then the board of directors immediately set up anything. If you're not careful, they might set up something, they put some money somewhere and you don't notice. But it's also working closely with them and the auditors so that we can capture everything. But the policy is being developed. We should get around by talking to our partners in South Africa, in Singapore. We've reached out to the French, the English. So we'll put up something. Hopefully by next year we'll come back with something.
All right, let's take you back to our headline business story that's got to do with the inflation rate for the month of November, dropping to 9.8%. Let's see if we can hear Government Statistician Professor Samuel Kwabena explaining the reason for the drop.
Hierarchy gives us an opportunity to look at what is happening across the 13 divisions that we talked about. Of the 13 divisions, it's only 2 items that recorded rates of inflation higher than the national average of 9.8%. Specifically, we saw housing, water, electricity and gas recording an inflation figure of 21.0%, followed by food and non-alcoholic beverages, which recorded 11.7%. The divisions that recorded the least inflation rates were recreation, sports and culture 2.8%, education services 2.3%, and insurance and financial services 2.1%. We look at the contribution of the various divisions, that is the 13 divisions, to year-on-year inflation, and we find that food still is the predominant driver of inflation. Specifically, it is still contributing more than 50% contributing more than 50% to the overall inflation. Specifically, the contribution of food was 53.0% for the month of November 2020. Housing, water, electricity and gas contributed more than a fifth, specifically 22.6% to total inflation, and this was largely driven by rent and refuse collection.
And that was a government statistician. Ending the business segment for now. There's a full bulletin at the top of the hour. Up next, sports with OWURAKU AMPOFO. Stay tuned.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the sports segment with me, OWURAKU AMPOFO. We start off from Asante Kotoko, where the club has told the Ghana Football Association their decision to relocate to the Aliyu Mahama Sports Stadium is purely for sporting reasons. The Porcupines, in a letter yesterday to the football governing body, said a move away from the Accra Sports Stadium will decongest the venue as they are affected by the 6 p.m. kickoff of matches.
The GFA's letter to KOTOKO on December 2 asked the club to provide reasons why they want to relocate to the Aliyu Mahama Sports Stadium. The letter also asked the Porcupines to make available ownership agreement between them and the National Sports Authority to help the football governing body make an informed decision about their request. KOTOKO said they only requested to relocate their home venue to a facility that has been approved by the GFA through the club licensing board, deriving its powers from Article 46 of the GFA statutes and required to work in accordance with the relevant provisions enshrined in the GFA club licensing regulations. KOTOKO said the GFA approved the Aliyu Mahama Sports Stadium as their alternative venue for the 2020-21 Champions League, following their request for a license to participate in the CAF Champions League, which was duly approved. In relation to the ownership agreement as requested by the GFA, the club added that to request for an ownership agreement at a stage of our expression of interest to relocate to the Aliyu Mahama Stadium would be a great deviation from the licensing process. They said the decision to move to the Aliyu Mahama Stadium is purely for sporting reasons. Moving to the Aliyu Mahama Stadium, they say, would give us a bigger leverage in terms of competition to reduce congestion at the Accra Sports Stadium. The GFA had said the club licensing board did not raise concerns about the number of clubs competing at the Accra Sports Stadium. However, KOTOKO insists the licensing board must not raise concerns before they decide on which facility they want to relocate their home venue to. It appears KOTOKO is dissatisfied with the decision of playing most of their matches at 6 p.m. In their letter to the FA explaining why they need a permission to relocate to the Aliyu Mahama Stadium, KOTOKO said playing their home matches at 6 p.m. because of the live coverage of matches by Star Times does not help the GFA to manage the days on match days. They said the fixture scheduling so far sees us playing our home matches at 6 p.m. because of live coverage of our home matches by Star Times. This certainly is because the GFA needs to manage the days on match days. But it goes seriously against us. It is for this reason that we humbly request to move to a facility that has no Premier League presence. This would be spreading the love of the game across the country and accomplishing the GFA's agenda of bringing back the love. The record Ghana Premier League champions reiterated their decision to return to the Baba Yara Sports Stadium should rehabilitation works is concluded. Since work is currently ongoing on the facility, they are by law at liberty to choose a venue of their choice.
Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of the club, Asante Kotoko, Nane Amponsa, has called on the players to give their all as he is confident the team will do all in Africa this season.
We thank God for this achievement. It's no mean feat. We went to Mauritania, we all know what happened there. And God being so good, we come to our own home. A lot of frustrations, but all of you have kept your cool, you've been calm, you've been resolute, and we have come through this hurdle. What is ahead is even more difficult, but with God, all things are possible. So we are going to do, I said it in Mauritania, we're going to do something in Champions League this season that will amaze a lot of people. We're going to do something that hasn't been seen for a very long time. And I want all of you to be committed to that task so that your names will be written in gold. Put it at the back of your mind that so long as you remain in this family, you do your best for this family so that you'll be remembered tomorrow.
Meanwhile, some celebrities have been reacting to the EC's declaration of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as president-elect for the next 4 years.
Yes. Congratulations, big congratulations to the whole of Ghana for putting Ghana first. Congratulations to everybody that went out to vote. Thank you for putting Ghana first. Thank you for making this a peaceful and transparent election. Thank you for not making it violent. Big up yourselves, every Ghanaian out there. We put Ghana first. That's what we did. Yes, Achisa. Big up yourself, President-elect. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Your Excellency. Big up yourself.
Ubancha mba akodi afofo na gususu na sie uban 4 years ubanchi bebo. Ghana for move on. What you say?
Now, dancehall artist Samini is urging NPP followers to be moderate in their celebrations. He said they should try not to pick on their opponents that lost the elections because that could generate violence and hatred.
Congratulations to everybody. Big up yourselves. Let's take it easy when we're doing the partying, and let's just not go overboard when we're celebrating to make other people feel away, so that you know what I'm talking about. So when you're celebrating and when you're trying to pick on people, watch your limits so you don't go overboard to start something else that's going to make your Christmas not so exciting. So hey guys, let's get back into the Christmas mood. Let's enjoy ourselves and let's put Ghana first as usual. And yeah, next 4 years, it's going to be booyah!
That'll be all for Showbiz here on JoyNews today. My name is Becky. Over to you, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Becky. And I must say congratulations to you, Becky, for successfully collating the results.
Thank you so much.
You and George were working on the OT region.
OT region, yeah.
Yes. For those of you who were glued to your sets, I'm sure you spotted Becky in the Situation Room. She was not an entertainment presenter for the past 3 or 4 days.
I tell you.
No, you were a number cruncher.
I was part of the election headquarters.
You did a good job. I'm being told that you've been assigned as strong room correspondent.
Yes, please. Please. I'm sure I would, stop doing the show business and move to
No, please, we need you on showbiz, please. Without you, we can't enjoy our showbiz here on JoyNews today. So that's it for this bulletin of JoyNews today. My name is Daniel Dazi. Many thanks for joining us. And up next is the Marketplace. We're back tomorrow with a weekend edition of JoyNews Today.